Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Rosa here of Splat Communications and Simplified Strategic Solutions. We decided to undertake a series of videos regarding the expansion of the Philippines' foreign relations during the time of martial law. It is important for the young and the young at heart to know or remember these events, as these historical events has been hidden for over 3 decades. It is about time we shed light into this so that people will know. Episode 1, Russia. As explained from first-hand accounts of Miss Rita Gadi, kindly follow all her social media accounts. Thank you. Again, we reiterate. These are all first-hand information, as Miss Gadi was there to witness these events herself.
Where have we been through all of this? I would like to go back in time and consider how important it was for our country at the height of this division of the world to have established diplomatic relations with two of the most, the countries that are basically communist. So this is the People's Republic of China, or China for short, and the Soviet Union, or now called as the Russian Federation. So this is where we had the invitation from the Soviet Union, and President Marcos immediately accepted this. But prior to his state visit, he first sent Imelda Romualdez Marcos, the First Lady. And as I've said, this is also in reaction to the delivery of her speech for the first time that the First Lady was asked to address the United Nations General Assembly in New York City. And her speech there was about the new human order, which really is about the establishment of peace throughout the world. If only we could supply the basic needs and services for the communities that need this most. That is where the vision of President Marcos, and that was part of the delivery of her speech at the United Nations, which also brought to attention many of those who were interested for her to visit their countries, but most especially the delegation from the Soviet Union. So that was where the invitation came, and the President Marcos immediately accepted the invitation from the Soviet Union, but first sent Madame Imelda Romualdez Marcos. You can imagine this was sometime in 1975, her first visit to Moscow. And after that, where have we been? We have been there just about every year, sometimes even twice a year, visiting the Soviet Union. So we have had the opportunity and the privilege and the honor to have brief interviews with all the heads of state of the Soviet Union that Mrs. Marcos has sat with, and with whom her delegation also had several meetings with, from Brezhnev, Andropov, Kosygin, if I pronounce it well, Tikhonov, Chernenko, Shevardnadze, Gromyko, who was then formerly Foreign Affairs Secretary when Mrs. Marcos met him first at the United Nations, where she delivered that speech. Eventually, he became also the president of the Soviet Union, and then Gorbachev. Gorbachev was the last of the leaders of the Soviet Union that we had the opportunity to cover with a meeting that Mrs. Marcos had shortly before 1986. So that was the last of the presidents. So after Gorbachev, you had Yeltsin, etc., and all of the rest of them in succession until we get to Vladimir Putin. But what I'm trying to say is, it began with Brezhnev, that we had this diplomatic relations with the Soviet Union or with Russia, and all the way up to Gorbachev. Well, we have been there. And so Mrs. Marcos was the precursor for the state visit of President Marcos in 1975. I think it was June 1975 when he made that state visit to Moscow. But there is something else that I will have to mention at this stage. Because when we speak of the conversion of Russia, for instance, every time we recite our prayers, we must not forget the fact that in October 1985, At the prodding of a visionary, Mrs. Marcos was requested to bring the images of our Blessed Virgin, Our Lady of Fatima and Our Lady of Peace, to be consecrated in Moscow. That was a mission that was entrusted to her by a visionary who said that it was upon the urging of Blessed Mother that her image must be consecrated in Moscow. And this is where Mrs. Marcos felt that it was almost an impossibility, because Russia is communist, and you have the Russian Orthodox Church, and we are Catholics, and under the Christian tradition of all of these images, where would it be possible to bring images of the Blessed Virgin into the Soviet Union or into Russia? But the Blessed Mother has a way. In other words, as the way it should have been done much earlier, but it came at the time, October 1985. And it had to be brought there in that particular month, in October, because that was the month of the Holy Rosary. So Mrs. Marcos organized a delegation and passed by the Vatican to have the images of the Blessed Virgin blessed by the Holy Father. And from there, we proceeded to Moscow. Where have we been? Well, that was where we have been. We brought the images together with a delegation of other politicians also from the parliament, and Mrs. Marcos was welcomed in Moscow, and they opened the Cathedral of St. Louis in the heart of Moscow, and there was the consecration of these images of our Blessed Mother. So if there indeed was already a consecration of Russia, then it began then, 1985. And several years afterwards, you have all of these Soviet republics that were granted their own independence now, away from the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. It did not take very long since then. So our Blessed Mother's images are there in the Cathedral of St. Louis in the heart of Moscow. If indeed there was a conversion, that would have been already the most important historic and religious event. Other than that, Mrs. Marcos was also invited to visit the capital and the head center of the Russian Orthodox in Zagorsk. So where have we been? Well, we went to Zagorsk, and there she was welcomed by the head of the Russian Orthodox, and a mass was celebrated in one of their cathedrals, a beautiful cathedral, and it was in Latin, and the Gregorian chant was even sung by all of those priests of the Russian Orthodox that attended. And in addition to that, they also offered lunch. They served lunch for the delegation of Mrs. Marcos. So other than having the images of our Blessed Mother consecrated in the heart of Moscow at St. Louis Cathedral, Mrs. Marcos also had the consecration of her delegation in the Russian Orthodox capital in Zagorsk. And that is a full delegation that she brought with her, members of parliament. Most of them were in the opposition, as a matter of fact. So you could see that even at the time, members of parliament, together with Mrs. Marcos, were there both in the Catholic Church of St. Louis, that cathedral, and also in the Russian Orthodox capital in Zagorsk. So that is very historic and also very religious, because it was only 10 years after that our Holy Father, the Pope, visited the Zagorsk, in the Russian Orthodox religion there in that particular city. And that is in Georgia. So you could see that one of the Soviet republics that was granted its independence was Georgia. In fact, in the museum, you had all of these vestments and all of this, all of the other items that were used, and several religious icons that we saw exhibited, and they were perhaps part of the Russian Orthodox Church. And also, that not only that it was historic and that was religious, but that is where we have been. So you could see how important it is that we have established diplomatic relations in the Soviet Union.
This is the end of episode 1. What can you say, ladies and gentlemen? Did you like the video? Going back in time and learning about what really transpired will help each of us understand why things happened as it did. It will also broaden our knowledge and understanding. This clearly is not historical revisionism but stating facts as they happened. We hope that you would join us again for part 2, Diplomatic Relations with China. In behalf of my partner Rina and the entire Splat Communications and Simplified Strategic Solutions team. Thank you. Stay safe. Rosa out. Bye.